What's up and welcome to Me, You, and Switch 2. I am me, Tom Tate, and you are you, so let's talk about Switch 2. This is the latest and greatest Nintendo Switch 2 news brought to you every Tuesday and Friday in snackable 5 to 10 minute episodes. Today happens to be Friday. It is June 19th. It is 9:02 a.m. on the East Coast, and this is episode 110. I hope that you had an awesome week. Today, I'm going to focus on the wave of reviews that we got this week for the Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales. This is kind of what dominated my news feeds over the past couple of days. It released yesterday for Switch 2 and other platforms. The TLDR here is that reception was a little lukewarm. Don't expect any reviews to be like super blown away or claim that this is the best game to grace Switch 2 in a while. I don't think this is going to be at the top of anyone's Game of the Year lists, but it does sound like there's a lot to love here if you're into this particular genre. And it seems like reviewers generally are satisfied with the game, right? But these days, being satisfied might not be enough. So I actually have a sealed copy ready to go. Received it yesterday in the mail. And I'm hoping to crack into it today. I did play the demo. I played the original demo, and then I played the prologue demo. So I have some experience with the gameplay, but I haven't really dove in yet, but I'm going to dive in today. Okay, let's get into it. So if you just want the bottom line up front, Polygon and Nintendo Life both have review roundup posts that I'll link to. So you can go check those out. I'll put the links in the show notes. But before I dive in, just a little bit of context about this game. The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales, is a kind of brand new franchise for Square Enix. It is an HD 2D action RPG. So HD 2D describes kind of that Octopath Traveler style of visuals. It was developed by Team Asano and Claytek Works. They are the creators of Octopath Traveler and the Bravely Default series, and they worked on Triangle Strategy and a bunch of others. And I'm pretty sure that's the team behind Final Fantasy Resonance, which we just learned about last week. Unlike the turn-based style RPGs that they're known for, this is a real-time action RPG, right? So think, your top-down Zeldas, your early Mana games, based on gameplay. You can swap out weapons and items in real time. You can explore dungeons. Story-wise, you play as Elliot. He is an adventurer who leaves the kingdom of Huther to explore these newly discovered ruins, and that kind of kicks off the story. There's monsters, magic. There's a fairy sidekick that talks a lot. That's been a huge criticism, going all the way back to the first demo. So there's actually a option setting to decrease the dialogue from the fairy sidekick. Plenty of weapons to choose from, hidden areas to discover, and as we will hear in a lot of the reviews, time travel. Time travel is a big element of the story here. Okay, if we look at Polygon's review roundup, this was titled Cool Combat, Meh, Everything Else. They also wrote, critics are unanimous, the time travel is a little lackluster. The Metacritic score for Switch 2 is sitting at 79 today, so it is a little below what we would expect or hope for an incredible RPG experience. It's kind of sitting at that kind of adequate, very good level, but not great. Polygon's actual review was written by Jen Glennon. She praised the game. She titled her review, "We need more games like The Adventures of Elliot. More isn't always more." And her review opens up saying, "The Adventures of Elliot feels like playing a lost SNES or PS1 era classic for the first time. I can't say that it does anything particularly revolutionary by the standards of 2026, but the pacing is tight, the boss fights are wonderfully varied, the puzzles are just crunchy enough, and the music and visuals bring to mind a fairy tale storybook. While the game spans 4 distinct time periods, the compact map and 25-hour runtime invite exploration without ever feeling daunting." So Jen introduces one element of criticism that I read in a bunch of reviews. This was very common, right? The time travel component, it tends to be a little thinner than it could or maybe should be. So when you time travel in this game, you are still in the same world, so you end up retreading a lot of the same environments, you end up backtracking. It sounds like the payoff really isn't that great. Enemies and dungeons are mostly unchanged. There's also the elements of changing things in the past, and that doesn't have a strong impact on the future. And that's often a fun and deeper way to incorporate time travel mechanics into a game, right? If you think about Chrono Trigger, if you think about different games with time travel, you go back in the past, you do one key event, right? And then you go back into the future and everything's different. It sounds like this is really just a different way to traverse the same world just by going back and forth in different time periods. And it's not really having the impact that reviewers were hoping for. Jen closes out her review with a really good line. A big part of this game's appeal is that it can easily be enjoyed in shorter sessions. You can't really drop into Tears of the Kingdom or Persona 5 for 30 minutes and make meaningful progress, but you absolutely can in the Adventures of Elliot. Personally, reading Jen's review, I really appreciated this call out. I'm often intimidated by 100-hour RPGs. Like, I really want personally to start the Xenoblade games. They just announced the definitive editions for Switch 2, but I don't have 400 hours to spare, and I love getting through a game at a good pace so I can get on to the next one. My backlog is overflowing. Game Informer's Charles Hart gave it a 7.25 out of 10. He wrote, I spent most of my time with Elliot entertained, but never satisfied. In his review, he compared it to Zelda. He also cited the same time travel disappointment. And Charles uses a lot of soft words in this review, words like pleasant, not particularly exceptional, adequate, effective. So you get the vibe here. IGN's Scott White gave it an 8 out of 10. Writing, Elliot isn't without blemishes, but it's still a great action-adventure game that continues to prove why the HD 2D art style is among the best around. And I love this point from Scott because these games are just so beautiful to look at. I mean, I grew up playing Super Nintendo RPGs with really fantastic pixel art, and then playing 2D RPGs in the PlayStation era where they didn't try to go all 3D and polygon-based. It was still just that beautiful art style. So this is very nostalgic in all the best ways. Scott shares more about how the game doesn't have a traditional leveling system, which is very similar to Zelda. You don't have experience, you don't level up. So growing stronger in Elliot is tied to Magicite, which slot into your weapons and I think your armor too. This feels very similar to Final Fantasy VII's Materia system. So you can constantly change your gameplay style and your buffs based on certain areas or challenges. Or your own playstyle, your own preference. And there are a lot of fun combinations that I think you can experiment with. Go Nintendo criticized the depth of the time travel as well, but praised the exploration and combat. Nintendo Life's George Yang gave it an 8 out of 10. The Joys listed excellent and emotional story, simple yet varied gameplay, gorgeous art style, rewarding exploration, engaging quests. The cons, some performance issues, imprecise platforming and jumping, and lack of enemy variety. George at Nintendo Life was one of the few reviewers to really call out performance on Switch 2. So here's a quick quote. Unfortunately, performance is lackluster on Switch 2. Load times are long. Even opening up the world map takes a while. From the time you press the minus button to do so, there's about a 2-second gap before the map pops up. Additionally, there's noticeable lag when you're trying to switch between different eras on the map menu, which is genuinely distracting. And that's in docked mode. In handheld mode, these issues are exacerbated. So he's noticing performance issues. That's something that can always potentially be fixed. So maybe there's a patch in the future to kind of speed things up a little bit. Nintendo World Report's Jordan Rudick gave it an 8 out of 10. Pros, charming side quests, does Zelda-like very well, fun gameplay and solid controls, gorgeous aesthetic and presentation. Cons, Faye, who's the fairy partner, is very, very chatty. Magicite system is boring. Interesting. Map largely static across different eras and repeated mini-boss fights. And finally, Nintendo Insider's Cullen Black closed his 7 out of 10 review saying, despite my frustrations, by the end, I just couldn't find myself to truly dislike The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales as a whole. It just has too much heart, and I see a lot of room for improvement. This is the kind of game where you can just tell the people making it approached the project with pure passion. I'd love to see them get another shot because you can just tell a follow-up could be legendary. So I think, something Cullen is saying here sums up most of the reviews that I've read. When you play a game that you want to be amazing, and it's just ever so short of amazing, it's just not there, it's just good, but not great, you just can't help but have that feeling throughout the whole experience. It's like an if only that just sticks with you as you're playing it. Like if only it just took that next step, that next level. I'm still personally eager to play it. I played the demos, as I mentioned, for this game. I can totally feel some of the criticisms already, but I support a big studio like Square taking a swing at something different, right? I'd love to see them do more HD 2D original titles rather than applying that art style to remakes or to mobile game adaptations. Like Octopath Zero was kind of a mobile game adaptation. Final Fantasy Resonance is an adaptation of Brave Exvius. Don't get me wrong, I'm excited for those games. I will play both of them. Octopath is already out. Final Fantasy Resonance comes out later this year. But to see HD 2D branch into a new style of RPG, like action RPG, not turn-based, is really nice. Seeing new characters is always good too. So I'm excited. That's going to do it for today. We're past the 10-minute mark. I bookmarked some smaller headlines, but I'll cover them on Tuesday when I come back for the next episode. I hope that you have an incredible weekend. I'm a little late recording this one. I had a late night last night. I caught one of my all-time favorite bands last night in Philadelphia, Algernon Cadwallader, and they were celebrating 20 years of being a band. And I was right there in the thick of it back when they started. So I think, 2006, 2009, like that 3-year span, I saw them play in house shows and diners and VFWs and all kinds of really small venues. So all that to say, it was a great night, and I hope that you have an opportunity to go out and do the things that you love to do this weekend. Play music, play games, write stories, go for a run, play sports, like whatever it is, hang out with your family, hang out with your friends. Time flies, right? So just enjoy it, make the most out of it. I want to thank you so much for your time and your attention. You dedicate your time listening to this show, and I appreciate that. You can go to switch2pod.com for all the things. That's switch with the number 2 pod. A kind rating or review helps me continue to grow the show. It also lets me know what I can do to improve. Your feedback is very helpful. All right, enough rambling from me. Enjoy the weekend. Much love. Now go play some games.